Spiderpig, Spiderpig, does whatever a Spiderpig does. I'm doing the different lyrics than you. I'm doing the one from
Watch out! Here comes a movie review.
Yeah, I was doing the one from the Simpsons movie. Hi.
We saw Spider-Man into the Spiderverse, not the multiverse.
Well, yeah.
It's a multiverse of spiders.
Yeah. Spiders, a giant legion of spiders.
And believe the hype, because it was awesome.
Yeah, it's... I would, right off the bat, say that it rivals... people often, kind of like how people say that the two best Batman movies were the original Tim Burton Batman and The Dark Knight. And then,
I'd say Mask of the Phantasm, but...
Yeah, and I was about to say that, and then one animated one being that one. Well, this is kind of the situation here. There's, there's
Sam Raimi's.
Yeah, specifically the Spider-Man 2.
Right, 1 and 2, you could...
People usually prefer 2. I do as well.
Or Homecoming / whenever Far From Home, however that does.
Yeah, and then now we have this, the animated one, which is, rivals those. So it is the Mask of the Phantasm of the, except it's a lot more colorful. And by a lot more colorful, I mean it is vomiting and diarrheaing rainbows 24/7. It is like I'd actually warn anyone who has epilepsy, be careful. There may be a bit too much color. That is how colorful it is.
It brought 5 different Spider-Men into one universe to fight for their lives, basically.
Yeah.
To get back to their own universes.
Technically, there was a 6th Spider-Man, which...
We'll talk about later.
Yeah.
So if you've ever read any of the Ultimate Universe, then, or if you played the recent PS4 Spider-Man game, because Miles Morales was in that too, you might know about his backstory, but for the movie, it did a really good job telling his backstory for first-time viewers, where he's young teenager, he's black and Hispanic, and his Peter Parker dies, so he has to become Peter Parker himself.
Well, not Peter Parker, Spider-Man. He didn't become Peter Parker.
Sorry, did I say it like that?
Yes, you did.
I did. He became Spider-Man.
Which is actually something we need to address right now. Just like in the trailers, it was heavily implied that the Peter Parker of this originally of this universe
is basically Sam Raimi's Spider-Man,
except blonde. They went through the whole thing. They even made
the train, the upside down kiss.
They even showed something that wasn't in the trailer, except he was in full Spider-Man suit, not that.
Right, the dancing from Spider-Man 3.
And he's like, we don't talk about that one.
But he's fighting Kingpin, and
who's basically just a giant walking square with a tiny little face.
And Miles Morales shows up, who most of the start of the movie is his backstory. It did a good job of making you care about him, but just the chunk of the movie is his story leading up to becoming Spider-Man, where he and his uncle go graffiti a wall, and he gets bit by a spider and he just goes every other Peter Parker's common reaction go, my hand.
Well, that's because Peter Parker was kind of a dork, whereas Miles Morales was kind of like a subversion of that trope.
Yeah.
He was like,
he's a popular kid who didn't like the school he was going to.
Yeah, basically he's smart. He can do all the smart stuff, but he doesn't want to.
He'd rather be an artist. He'd rather draw or graffiti or listen to music.
It's time for another art attack.
But then he gets trapped, and he ends up finding this giant machine where Peter Parker is fighting a monstrous Green Goblin. That was my only thing, is I wish the Green Goblin was just more than a cameo, because it kind of felt like meh. And kind of the Green Goblin bit felt flat.
Basically, it was kaiju Green Goblin.
Yeah, I think that's probably happened in the comics. Where he's probably taken his own formula and had a bad reaction to it and become a monster.
Yeah, like a kaiju essentially. Yeah. He's like
but he gets defeated.
50 feet tall.
He gets defeated, and it's like, aww. Because we're used to the Green Goblin being Peter Parker's best nemesis, but again,
one of two. We will get.
He's kind of the joke. He's almost like the Joker to Batman, but for Spider-Man, when this movie isn't about, or Peter Parker Spider-Man, when this movie isn't about Peter Parker Spider-Man, it's about Miles Morales becoming Spider-Man.
But yet, one of two. We will get to the other one.
Right. He or she is also in this.
Yeah.
But it's a super collider or whatever, and the Kingpin turns it on after killing Peter Parker with a single gigantic Hulk smash.
Yeah, that's basically how the Kingpin finishes off his in canon. He's just that strong, so he punches people to death by just going boom.
Hulk smash.
Or sometimes he goes like that. That's how he in the live action Daredevil movie. That's how he dispatched his foes.
Right. That movie's lame, so we don't talk about it. Apparently the Netflix one is better. Or Netflix show is better. But, yeah, so they have a mass funeral for Peter Parker. In this universe, he's actually married to MJ. In the Ultimate, I guess you could call it the Ultimate Universe, but it was a lot tamer than the comics version of the Ultimate Universe.
Well, basically, I think what they did is they kind of just... The only part that they took from the Ultimate Universe was
Miles
Morales. Everything else about it was the Sam Raimi.
I think that was kind of the
everything. The universe was actually the Sam Raimi universe, not the Ultimate Universe. So they just kind of, I guess, the Sam Raimi universe just happened to have a Miles Morales in it. That had maybe what was still just a very young child when, the Spider-Man thing was happening originally in those movies. So we'll treat it like that.
One thing that I know was made for joke, but got on my nerves a little, was the 5 different backstories. Like they had to cut into the middle of a movie to do a backstory for each character that showed up, and it was a little like, really, this is kind of repetitive and a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I didn't mind it that much.
Although it was funny, 3 of them at once. Yeah, all 3 people like, yeah, I got bit by a radioactive spider. It's like everyone at once, like, radioactive spider, radioactive spider, radioactive spider, radioactive spider, radioactive pig.
We'll get to that, but basically then after the...
so the Peter Parker dies, and they gave this one's backstory, which he'd been a Spider-Man for like 10 years.
Yeah.
But the Collider, well, he was trying to destroy the Collider, and he had a goober, as the Peter Parker would call it.
Yeah, just a little computer
self-destruct chip, something.
Yeah.
But it got turned on, and he interacted with it, and he was basically to prevent himself from being killed. He's like, "Don't you want to know what I saw?" Because apparently the Kingpin is more motivation is he wants to bring back his wife and the son who died in a car accident, and I don't know if he's sympathetic enough, if that's sympathetic enough, but it didn't take away the fact that he just wanted to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But then weird shit starts happening, and another Peter Parker shows up.
This one from the main comics.
Yeah,
what I love most about this is that they've really emphasized, what Linkara's always been talking about. The comic Spider-Man life is
hell.
Yeah, it's just he is a total mess now. He is just a wreck, and he's barely hanging on by a spider thread, to use that pun. Yeah. He's just like,
and this one
he's let himself go.
I think this one's been like over 20 years of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he's older. His hair is darker. He's got a beard, or just a
stubble.
Yeah, stubble.
He's just stopped giving a crap.
He's fat.
Not quite that much.
He was married to MJ, but they separated. A la the deal with Mephisto.
Well, they didn't mention that.
No, but it's obvious that they're referencing that a little bit because MJ wanted a kid and he wasn't ready. So
very different reason than in the comics. Let's just not mention one more day anymore.
Well, okay, anymore.
Yeah.
But that also brought other Spider people to his universe, like Spider-Gwen, Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, we're basically in a universe where, in the main universe, like, Gwen Stacy was one of Spider-Man's 2 love interests, and in the main comics she died.
Yes.
Whereas in her universe, the Spider-Gwen, it was the opposite thing happened.
Peter Parker became the Croc, because Spider-Man is the villain that's a scientist that became a crocodile.
Oh yeah, the lizard.
Yeah, Peter Parker became the lizard in Gwen's universe, and she couldn't save him from dying.
Yeah.
So she stopped having friends. And I read this on Twitter before I came here. I guess a person who worked on the movie, I saw their tweet talking about how they did that scene where Parker as the lizard was flung backwards, the shadows.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how they had to do it with puppetry, and they had to take like a puppet of the Green Goblin and make it look like the lizard in a shadow, and then had to progressively turn it into Peter Parker.
But it was animation.
Apparently, they did it with puppets.
Okay. Interesting.
I saw that they had to do that with puppets.
Okay then. The more you know.
And then they also brought Spider-Man Noir,
who's basically
LAPD Spider-Man.
No, Rorschach. He's Spider Rorschach, is what he is. This is afraid of me. I see his true face. The streets are filled with brooding, and everything's dark and gray, and I can't even see the colors on a Rubik's Cube. This became part of my character development. I had to try to see the colors on a Rubik's Cube, but because I'm all black and white, and I'm colorblind, and I'm always about being dark and depressing, and I let matches burn right down to my fingertips just so I can feel anything. And I get sad because I can't.
And then
Batman would tell me to smile.
Well, okay. I give you the character, but he wasn't that grovelly.
No, but I'm doing the meme.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone who broods, it sounds like this Batman now because meme.
Yeah. And then there's Meanie Parker, who's Japanese, who's
Penny Parker.
Penny, sorry.
Yeah, who is like just anime, everything anime.
I love the complete contradiction of art styles because like everything's like, I guess it's animated, but she's completely in a different style of animation.
Anime style, basically, like cutting this way and even doing the stereotype anime, like when she goes to attack someone, it's like whoa, flying through the air with streaks going by.
Her introduction is just her speaking Japanese, saying "nice to meet you" and stuff. Hello, nice to meet you.
And like and then
her spider lives in a mech suit that she has a telepathic link to
because anime.
Yes. And then it does get weirder because Spider-Ham,
who is basically just Looney Tunes Spider-Man.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's what he is.
He literally comes from a cartoon universe.
Yeah, basically it heavily implies that it's from Looney Tunes, and we'll get to why that is, like, more than just implies it later.
So then the whole thing is they have to stop the Kingpin from setting off.
You mean the giant rectangle shaped suit with a tiny little face? That's what he is. He's not a pin. He's a square with a face.
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be funny that he's that big because he's supposed to be a threat to everyone.
I know it's one thing to be big. It's another thing to literally be a giant walking square. He looks like Strong Mad. That's what he looks like. He's Strong Mad.
But unfortunately, he wasn't wearing his iconic outfit.
No,
he was just a black suit and a white tie. I'm pretty sure,
and he's Strong Mad. Like his head didn't even go, but his head was on his chest. It's just a rectangle with a little face on the top of it. It's like I could take a piece of paper, a black sheet of paper, and draw a face on it, and it would look like that's what he looks like.
But they have to stop him from setting off the collider again, or they want to set it off, but they have to get back to their world before destroying it.
Yeah.
And like, God rest Stan Lee, but I love his cameo in this.
Yeah.
He's just a shop owner because Miles goes to buy a Spider-Man costume because he's like, I'm gonna be Spider-Man.
Well, because he was kind of told by the now dead Peter Parker that he kind of has to be now that he's been bitten by the spider.
It's like, hey kid, you got bitten by a reactive spider. Sorry, your whole life's been already set out for you.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
It's still, I don't know how anybody didn't recognize him when they could see his eyes. His eyes weren't even covered up by the eyes of the suit.
Well, the thing is, in any scene, he never actually just sort of like stopped and talked to anyone. He was always in a big crowd, and you would only see him in your peripheral vision.
But Miles is like, will the suit fit? Or can I return it?
Fit? And he's like, they all fit eventually. And then it pans up to a big sign saying no refunds.
No returns, no refunds. Like, okay. Excelsior. But we get a lot of Peter Parker, old Peter Parker, not being a very good role model.
Yeah, basically the comics Peter Parker, because, you know, he's basically given up on life.
Yeah. He mooches off Miles Morales so he can eat because he doesn't have any money. He's literally, as he's being warped from his dimension, he's trying to eat a pizza.
Yeah, and even as he's being sucked in, he's just,
pizza! Pizza! And Miles meets Gwen at his school after he's been bit, and he like accidentally sticks to her hair, so they have to shave off part of her hair.
Yeah.
And she doesn't call herself Gwen, she's like Wanda.
Yeah. I don't know why she felt the need to not. Maybe because she was afraid wait, you're Gwen Stacy? But why would she think that? She's in another universe. Why would she,
there's
no reason for that.
Every universe has a version of everyone. So you never know, she could have ran into that universe with Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, they didn't explain that, though.
No.
It was sort of an unnecessary,
Yeah. I like... Most of the character development was seeing an alternate reality version of a person who died, who was close to you. Yeah. It's like the same story progression 3 different times for Miles, and for Peter, and then for Gwen.
Yeah, basically. And you know, even though they didn't show it for Spider-Man Noir, he did say it was Uncle
Benjamin.
Yeah, Uncle Benjamin. So, you know,
I love
real original there.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
And they didn't say anything about Spider-Ham. He just sort of started like cartoony crying, but we didn't get to know why he.
No. He just said you can't save everyone. You have to learn that you can't save everyone. That was his line.
Which is weird coming from a universe of cartoons where nobody actually permanently dies.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like in Looney Tunes, nobody permanently dies. So I don't know what that's about.
And then there's so much. I'm like jumping around, getting lost.
Another important plot point is that due to the incompatibility with
universe.
Yeah,
everyone not native is glitching out.
And this was first sort of
used for a joke.
Yeah, but then we need to talk about a scene where well, before they meet all the other spider people, it's just Morales and the comics. Yeah, the the slacker Peter Parker.
Peter B. Parker, I think was his full name.
Yeah, the washed up Peter Parker. They go to try to infiltrate the facility and steal the laptop that has all the information they need and whatnot. Yeah. But this scientist lady kind of walks in, and this is where actually is revealed that Miles Morales can turn invisible.
Yeah, and earlier he was shown to have the ability to shock somebody with electric power.
Because, you know, you're the shocker.
I found him using like Peter was trying to leave, and Miles starts to with great power, and Peter's like, "Don't you dare finish that sentence!"
And then, but yeah,
but it turns out, yeah, he can turn invisible, but when he's scared, and like he sticks to stuff, and like he can't understand his powers, like
so he keeps breaking everything.
There were like tons of thought balloons everywhere.
So it started looking more like a Deadpool thing.
Like, why are my thoughts so loud? He's laughing at me. They know everything. He's running through his hallways in high school.
Yeah.
Or not, I don't know if it's high school, middle school.
Yeah. Anyway, regardless, well...
Oh, and he has Spider-Man comics that show him, hey, I'm a Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man, it's happening the exact same in the comic he's reading.
Because meta. But anyway...
It's like, Spider-Man's alive out in the universe. Well, technically dead at that point, but he was alive. He did things like make Christmas carols, had cereal, had a lollipop that looked more like Deadpool. But he also has comic books.
Yeah, and, but...
Bibliographies, I guess you could call them. Stories of his life.
Now we need to get back to this important scene.
Oh, the scientist is Dr. Octavius.
Yeah, well, female Dr. Octavius, and
or
her...
Liv. Or Liv.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, whatever, but her, octopus arm things are weird. They look almost like organic. They're like rubbery and translucent and weird looking. All the other, Dr. Octopus is very clearly metal and mechanical, whereas these it's like they're made from like some sort of weird rubber-like material.
Alternate universe.
Yeah. But she still looked freaking cool.
Yeah.
Everything her dialogue, everything about her, the expression she made is just awesome.
So it turned out, Miles' uncle, Aaron turned out to be working for the Kingpin as the Prowler, who was seen at the start of the movie chasing Miles from the scene where Peter Parker died.
Yeah, unfortunately, all I could see, because they showed, closed up on his mask a lot, all I could see was, the Deadpool mask.
It's a purple Deadpool mask.
Yeah, it's basically if it looks like a mash between Black Panther and Deadpool.
Because he had gauntlets on his hands with claws, and he had a scanner. He could detect heat signatures, probably. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
But he couldn't detect Miles if he was invisible. But, it was established in the story that there was separation between Aaron and his brother, Miles' father.
Yeah, who's a cop.
Yeah, he's a cop who likes to embarrass Miles by putting the sirens on and forcing him to say out loud, "Dad, I love you." And who hates Spider-Man because he's a vigilante, and the cops risk their lives, and Spider-Man just swings in once a day and saves everyone.
Yeah. So,
but there becomes separation between Miles and his dad because Miles wants to fail out of school, and his dad wants the best. His dad and his mom want for him to do the best. He's going to a boarding school.
Yeah. But
he won't answer their calls, and then eventually they all go to Aunt May's.
Yeah.
Who A is aware Peter Parker is Spider-Man,
and B, she's a freaking badass.
Has a shed that has a full bat cave inside, or it's Spider Cave, however you call
basically.
It's a bat cave, but for Spider-Man.
She's basically
she's Batman in the world of Batman Beyond. She's basically Bruce Wayne in the world of Batman Beyond.
No, she's Alfred.
Alfred didn't live in Batman Beyond, but
No, I'm talking about she's Alfred in the main Batman,
yes.
Like the female Alfred,
but she's
fully involved in the and can hold her own in a fight too. She actually smacked in one fight scene. She actually smacked one of the mercenary villains with a baseball bat.
But in this, she is basically doing the same thing Batman did for Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond, where he was in the Batcave with a bunch of suits providing. In a way, you could say, but
no, she's more just Alfred.
Oh, and the lazy Peter Parkers has his Spider-Man outfit, but he has sweatpants on it instead of regular.
Well, because I think part of his costume got ripped off in a scene where they were being dragged to the city.
Oh yeah, because Miles goes to Peter's grave.
He was in the trailer.
Yeah, he goes to his grave, and then future Peter Parker shows up, and Miles electrocutes him. And then the cops think he's carrying a dead body. And they try and escape. And
we're just cutting back and forth between... There's no order to which we're reviewing this one. We're just cutting all over the place.
We're just talking about everything we can think of.
Yeah, basically.
But then eventually they all have to go stop the collider. And somebody has to stay behind. And Miles says he's going to stay behind, but...
Because he's the only one who's compatible with that universe. If any of the other ones stay behind, they'll die. Because they'll just disintegrate.
But he can't control his powers, so they freaking walk away and like talk bad about him right to his face.
Yeah.
But Peter decides he can't do it, or Miles can't do it. So he traps him in a chair with webbing. And as we know, webbing takes a while to dissolve.
Yeah.
But his dad comes to the door and they have a heartfelt conversation.
Yeah, because Miles, you see, he can't talk because there's the webbing on his mouth too.
That would be... I wonder how hard that would be to breathe. I bet he has to breathe through his nose.
Yeah, obviously.
I imagine the go away and go, I can finally take a breath.
Clearly you don't want... Bros Jeevan aren't enough.
I'm not going to. But anyway. But it convinced Miles to summon up the courage to actually control his powers, which admittedly was an amazing scene.
Yeah.
Like the imagery they did with like him jumping off a building and like doing a dive and then friggin', it's hard to describe. You have to see it for yourself. It's just it's a little bit breathtaking, just the way they animated that, how it looked. But then he goes and takes a spider suit and paints it black, his iconic suit from the comics.
Yeah.
Which although it didn't have the lining from the comics, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It looked like the comics was the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then they have a giant fight scene in the Super Collider in the Spiderverse.
And then all the colors that ever have existed and ever will exist in the entire multiverse happen all at once. Mm-hmm. Just color. Just so much color. I think this movie might have had more color in it than any other movie that has ever been made.
We got a nice moment right before that where, like, Kingpin is doing like a memorial or something to having a dinner, but he's talking about Spider-Man, like, oh, Spider-Man was my best friend, oh, it's just a shame he died, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And like, all Kingpin's waiters are dressed, all have Spider-Man masks. I love Spider-Man always like, look at how they're dressed. It can't be that easy. Cuts to them down there. It's that easy. And then just walking, but the Peter having a moment with the MJ of this universe.
Because, yeah.
Because he lost his MJ, or didn't lose, he forced her away. He drove her away.
Yeah.
And he's having a conversation with his MJ basically in his head. He's talking to his MJ, but she just wants bread, so he's trying to be like, oh, I'll give me one more chance, and they like, to get you bread. Like, you know what he wants. This is him trying to talk with MJ, his universe, trying to say like, I'm sorry, we could make it work, but it's just like, it's over bread. And Gwen's like, we'll get you your bread.
We're not getting bread.
We're not getting bread. We're going to destroy a Super Collider.
Yeah.
Which then Miles sends them all back to their own universes with like a nice touching moment where earlier when Peter trapped him, he's like, if you're ready, then you can get past me. And then, and there was a line where Peter was trapped to Miles' boxing bag.
Yeah, this is way early in the movie.
And he gets out, he's like, don't watch the mouth, watch the hands.
Yeah.
As he escapes. And Miles puts that right back in his face, because Peter's like, I have the goober. Miles like, don't watch the mouth, watch the hands. He's like, you bastard.
Yeah, but anyway,
nice was.
Another thing I should mention, you know, the anime Spider-Girl, her spider power was, you know, the mech suit thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was like spherical mech suit, very anime looking, with a teeny little spider inside of it.
Yes.
During the final battle, that mech suit thing, you know, it's self-aware. It has, you know, AI. It gets like
destroyed.
Yeah. And then she's like all really sad, anime sad, and it's like very sad scene.
Yes. But she still has a spider, so she can just get another.
Yeah.
She can just go back to her universe, get her father to make her another suit.
Actually, from what I heard from her backstory, that thing was her father. It had the consciousness of her father in it.
Oh, that makes it more sad.
Yeah.
Eek.
Yeah.
And then Miles gets into a fight with, after he sends Peter back, he gets into a fight. I like how Miles realizes he has super strength. He hits a boulder, just goes, smash! That's different.
That's new.
But freaking Kingpin beats the crap out of him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a freaking
kid. He may have super strength, but he's still not as strong
Again,
as Kingpin.
he's not a pin. He's a square. He's the King Rectangle. That's what I'm calling him now. He's the King Rectangle.
But Kingpin gets
King Rectangle.
I'm not gonna say it. Gets distracted by Wilson Fisk. We call him by his real name, Wilson Fisk.
Wilson Rectangle Fisk. Rectangular Fisk.
He gets distracted by his family, and then like.
Oh yeah, basically we have to explain that. The reason why he's built this collider is because it was revealed that.
That's what I said that earlier.
I don't believe we mentioned that.
I mentioned his motivation is to get his family back who died in a car accident.
I don't remember you mentioning that, but we mentioned it now. So
I said it already earlier.
Regardless, we mentioned it now. So, yeah.
And he's just trying to find them in a different dimension.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting distracted because they're appearing.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's not stable.
Yeah.
But he even tries to do his finishing move to Miles, but Miles' dad motive spurns him on to keep fighting.
Yeah.
No matter what set of spider powers, the message they're trying to get is, no matter who you are, you can wear the you could wear the mask, and B, you're Spider-Man as long as you just keep getting back up. That's kind of the
Another very subtle message that I need to mention about Rectangle, Mr. Rectangle, is that the reason why his family died is because, you see, they
saw him beating up
Spider-Man, and
they were scared.
And so they got in a car and just booked it out of there. But then they got into a car accident, and then when he saw an alternate universe versions of his family in that final scene, he was also right about to smash Miles Morales' Spider-Man and the two of them, even though they didn't know these people from this other universe. They didn't know what was happening. A similar thing happened. It was like, I don't know what's happening. We're scared. Let's get out of here. And that caused him, Rectangle to freak out.
Yeah.
That's his name now, Rectangle.
But then you say, Miles Morales saves the day, and yay, and everything's alright.
And Rectangle's webbed up on...
good old cartoon style.
Yeah.
Courtesy of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Where he gives his dad a hug while he's hiding under the mask. He's trying to be a macho man.
Yeah.
Earlier his spider powers were acting weirdly, causing him to sweat. He's like, hey, it's just puberty. I love Gwen's response, you don't know what puberty is, do you? So he's probably in middle school. But yeah, then he swings away, and that's it.
And then there's the end credit scene.
Oh yes. The one thing I thought during the whole movie is, why don't they use Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of 2099? Turns out he's in the end credit scene, getting a wristwatch, which in the comics he has a personal wrist communicator, but in this movie universe, it allows him to hop between universes. So he's going to go universe hopping.
So he and his AI lady says,
Lila,
where would you like to go first? And he's like, to the very beginning.
And he goes to the
67.
He goes to the meme. He goes to the meme.
The
90s cartoon is where that meme started.
No, not the 90s cartoon. The 60s cartoon.
Oh, 60s, okay.
Universe 67. 1967.
Okay. Where the meme is just the Spider-Man pointing at
Who are you? I am Spider-Man. No, you can't be Spider-Man. I am Spider-Man. Why are you pointing? I am not pointing. You are pointing. Why are you pointing at me? This is not pointing. And then
the cops are like,
which one is pointing at who? And
it's like, which one do you think pointed first?
And J. Jonah Jameson, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, obviously.
Stop pointing. I'm not pointing. You're pointing. I am pointing. You're pointing.
And that's how it ends.
And it's even animated in the classic 60s cartoon style.
But yeah, we went. That was a lot of rambling.
Yeah, and a lot of color. Yeah. Like almost too much color. Like I have to again warn you. If you are epileptic, be careful. This might overwhelm you.
Yeah. Overall, it is a very, very good character-driven story. Like if there were any small complaints that I've seen people complain about, is there are too many other characters when said person complaining only wanted it to be about Miles and Peter. I'm like, that's what you get going into the Spiderverse. You're gonna get a lot of characters.
And you also have to keep in mind there is good ways and bad ways to have a lot of characters.
Yeah. And
this did it very well.
Yes.
It gave everyone exactly the right amount of screen time, as opposed to some other Spider-Man movies. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Which I didn't see, but I heard was awful. Yeah. But yeah,
yeah. I'd say if you're a superhero fan at all, you should go watch this.
Yeah, or just watch it. Even if you don't like superhero movies, just watch it anyway.
Yeah, if
you like cartoons, watch it.
If you like
color, watch it. If you just want to watch it like a rainbow on screen, and you want to smoke a doobie because that's legal here now, and just want to get the colors, man, this movie is for you.
Yeah, if you care about the characters first and foremost over the action, the action's really good, but it is foremost about character driven.
I mean, I don't do drugs or anything, but I could probably imagine this would be a movie people would want to watch high. Just because of all the colors, I know, but I mean, I have to say it again, just because the freaking colors. I know I'm rambling about that, but you cannot comprehend the color until you see the color.
Yeah.
It is an animated rainbow.
Okay, see you next time for Bumblebee. The one potentially good, the only good Transformers movie, live action.
Yeah.
Where apparently the director's already retiring from the Transformers universe.
So, I've been Ace, keep it up your sleeve.
I'm that weird collector. Keep it weird.
Bye.
Bye.
How do I shoot web?
Like this.
No, I'm doing the meme. How do I shoot web?
You can stop at any time.